Hi, welcome back. It's Kang here. This is the final video lecture in a series of 4 lectures where I teach you guys about the basic of argumentations that includes inference patterns. So a quick recap. So far we've learned what an argument is. It's a set of claims with one main conclusion that's being supported by a set of premises. We've also learned about the distinction between validity and soundness. A valid argument is an argument where if the premises are true, then the conclusion has to be true as well. On the other hand, a sound argument is an argument that is valid and has true premises. The goal of this course is to be able to present valid arguments. And an easy way to do that is to make your argument fit an inference pattern, which is a rule that tells you when the conclusion follows logically from the premises. So far, we've learned 4 inference patterns. First, modus ponens, which has the form if P then Q, P therefore Q. Second, modus tollens, which has the form if P then Q, not Q, therefore not P. Third, predicate instantiation, which has the form all A's are B's, M is a A, therefore M is a B. And fourth, disjunctive syllogism, which has the form P or Q, not P, therefore Q, or P or Q, not Q, therefore P. And in this video lesson, we will learn 2 more inference patterns, hypothetical syllogism and universal syllogism. So hypothetical syllogism has the following form. Premise 1, if P then Q. Premise 2, if Q then R. Conclusion, if P then R. And as always, we will give an example to this kind of inference pattern. Here's an example of an argument that fits this pattern that you may be familiar with if you've taken a class in philosophy of religion. Sub in the symbol P for the sentence, God can create a stone so heavy he cannot lift it. Sub in the symbol Q for the sentence, there is something God cannot do. And sub in the symbol R for the sentence, God is not omnipotent. Then you get the following argument. If God can create a stone so heavy he cannot lift it, then there is something God cannot do. Premise 2, if there is something God cannot do, then God is not omnipotent. Conclusion, so if God can create a stone so heavy he cannot lift it, then God is not omnipotent. And in case you're wondering what omnipotent means, it means all-powerful. So let me try to explain the rationale behind this argument. We're asked to imagine hypothetically if God can create a stone so heavy he cannot lift it. If he creates the stone, then there exists a stone that he cannot lift. So there's at least one thing that God cannot do, namely lifting that heavy stone. But if God cannot lift that heavy stone, then there's at least one thing he cannot do, which means that he's not all-powerful after all, because an all-powerful being would be able to lift that stone. So the argument concludes that if God can create a stone so heavy he cannot lift it, then he is not omnipotent. Now, important, you should notice that the argument's conclusion is not that God is not omnipotent. Rather, it's a conditional claim. It says, if God can create a stone so heavy he cannot lift it, then he's not omnipotent. But the conclusion doesn't say that God is not omnipotent. There are 2 different claims, so be careful. Let's try out another example. Sub in P for you're taking philosophy 5, Q for you're learning about philosophy, and R for you're super cool. You get the following argument. If you're taking philosophy 5, then you're learning about philosophy. If you're learning about philosophy, then you're super cool. So if you're taking philosophy 5, then you're super cool. Now that's a valid argument. Okay guys, here we are, the final inference pattern that we will learn in this course. Universal syllogism. It has the following form. All A's are B's, all B's are C's. Conclusion, all A's are C's. Here's an example. All Philosophy 5 students are UC Davis students. All UC Davis students are awesome. Conclusion, so all Philosophy 5 students are awesome. Here's another example. All Philosophy 5 students are awesome students. all awesome students are not plagiarizers, so all Philosophy 5 students are not plagiarizers. Now, this is a valid argument. I hope that it's also sound. Please, guys, don't plagiarize. Please make sure to review the academic code of conduct to make sure you understand exactly what counts as plagiarism. It is your responsibility. I want to take this opportunity to also tell you that I take plagiarism very, very seriously. Any students who is suspected for plagiarism will be reported to the SJA, Student Judicial Affairs. And if found guilty, I will enforce the maximum amount of penalty recommended by the SJA. Academic honesty is one of the most important intellectual virtues. And since we're at one of the best public institutions in the world, we have a responsibility to uphold academic honesty, and that means never committing plagiarism. So now let me end that short digression there and focus on summarizing what we've covered in these past 4 video lectures on arguments. First, a valid argument is an argument where the truth of the premises guarantees the truth of the conclusion. A sound argument is an argument that is valid and has all true premises. One of the goals in this class is that you learn how to produce valid arguments, and to do that, the simplest way is to make sure that the argument fits a particular inference pattern. A basic rule that lays out an argument structure or form that ensures that the conclusion logically follows from the premises. In this course, I'm teaching you 6 inference patterns. There are more than 6, but I think these 6 are the most important and common ones. First, we learn modus ponens, and then we learn modus tollens. Then we learn predicate instantiation and disjunctive syllogism. And in this lecture, we've learned hypothetical syllogism and universal syllogism. Please make sure that you review and understand these different inference patterns. There is a handout on these patterns that is posted on Canvas. Please email me or your TAs if you have any questions about this materials. And the best way to learn these inference patterns is to come up with your own arguments or your own examples. So get creative. This concludes our crash course on basic formal logic. And this is an important first step because in this class, we will see that a lot of the arguments can be reconstructed into arguments that fit these inference patterns. And once we do that, we can look at the individual premises and ask whether or not they're well supported, whether or not there are good reasons to reject them or to accept them. And that is a crucial part of what philosophy as an intellectual activity is. It's a way of crafting arguments and engaging with them. For me, philosophy is about articulating and refining philosophical positions and to use arguments to defend them. But the skill of using arguments to defend your positions and views is a skill that is transferable and applicable to other areas. So you can take what you learn in this class and apply it to other disciplines or any other aspects of your life. So that's why I think logic is important, and that's why I choose to teach logic first. And in the next series of video lectures, we will see how these inference patterns can be applied to construct arguments that defends a particular philosophical position. And first up, we'll look at a position known as skepticism, the view that says we do not have knowledge of the external world because our perceptual beliefs are not a reliable guide to knowledge. So that's it for this video lecture. If you have questions, please do not hesitate to email me or your TAs. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, stay healthy.